permanent residency. Ooh. So permanent residency, or PR. This is a word that I feel like the past year was just in my mind constantly, and just in the mouths of all the other people that I worked with, because all of us were kind of in the same situation. PR. To P or not to PR. To PR or not to PR is kind of like the question. I bring this one up next because it's just kind of like the natural thing where when you're on the temporary resident visa, after that 3-year period of being sponsored with a job, you are then eligible to apply to become a permanent resident, which is kind of like a green card situation, kind of like how we have that in the US, which means you are a legal resident. You are eligible for their healthcare system. You are allowed to like live, come and go as you please. But actually I need to check that out because they made some changes this past April of 2017. I mean, Australia is starting to tighten up, I guess, with the immigration issue, because they're kind of going through that similar to the US. I kind of find, not to get all political, but sometimes Australia's policies seem to kind of, I don't want to say follow in the footsteps of America, but at the same time, like I said, they're bros, so they be down like that. The permanent residency, now that's a whole nother process, and I was actually considering going through it because I was trying to decide if it was something I really wanted. And long story short, I realized that coming to Australia, my main reason for coming was for work and for experience, and to have the experience also of living abroad without all the crazy red tape of dealing with, you know, with a visa, trying to get a visa, compared to, like, for example, me going to Europe. Not that I'm saying it was impossible, but I'm like, I don't know, that's a whole nother process that from what I understand, it's just, that's a whole nother level of hoop jumping that I don't know if I was like willing to, or, you know, I wanted to deal with, but I digress. The permanent residency is a whole process that you have to go through that is like, it makes the working holiday visa and the temporary residency slash sponsorship, like, it makes it look like a walk in the park. I ended up doing my research and finding out the cost, and it's just like, it was something that I just wasn't willing to do. For some people, there's just so many levels to it. You kind of have to apply to apply. You have to take an English, the IELTS or English test to, you know, determine your proficiency in the language, because that's one of the requirements. Age is a factor. There's a point system, so you got to hit a certain amount of points to get it, which is why a lot of people you have to take the IELTS. That's a part of the exam. You have to have background checks. You have to have, like, you know, show like pay slips and where you paid bills, and tell them where you were 5 years ago on a Wednesday at 3:30 in the afternoon. I don't know, it's just kind of like, that's kind of the things that you have to do. And for me, I was like, it's becoming a thing now where I'm not even having any job satisfaction, and now it seems like everything is just so heavily invested in trying to get this PR. And don't get me wrong, there are people who come from other countries where, you know, the quality of life in Australia compared to wherever their country is, it's like day and night. Australia has a lot of benefits. I mean, it was the best. I don't regret anything. The past 3 years living there, which was great, was absolutely amazing. And like, for a minute, I was really considering it. I was trying to get the PR. Sometimes on certain, you know, rainy days, I stare out the window and I think about Melbourne, Australia, and just, you know, think about Sunday sessions that I never actually got involved in because I was usually working a 16-hour shift. But you know, that's how that goes. So yeah, the PR, I don't really have much knowledge about that because again, I didn't go through with the process, but I am going to list resources down below for anybody who's interested. Mainly, I would say go to the immigration website, do your research, do some Googling, don't take my word for it. You know, this is the age of fake news. You just can't listen to anybody out here, not even me. Do the research for yourself if you're interested. This video, I hope, is just kind of like an idea to give you someone else's experience. Now, somebody might be asking, hey Peachy, what about if I go to Australia and I meet my Aussie bae? Or Peachy, what about my boo is sponsored or he got sponsored? But what about me? Like, what's gonna happen to our love? I don't know what's gonna happen. There's a de facto visa. Now, again, this is something I don't have much knowledge about because, you know, your girl was struggling out there, catching L's left and right when it came to dating, so I didn't have to worry about this. The de facto visa is there for people who they have their partner might get sponsored. It allows you basically to stay. They're not gonna like, oh, we want him, but you know, sorry about you. Like, it's not gonna go down like that. So that's pretty much what the de facto visa is for. I had a friend, her partner got sponsored through the place that I worked at, the restaurant group, and so through that she was able to get the de facto visa. However, the usual things are there. You got to prove that you guys have been together, joint bank accounts, you know, yada yada yada. They want to check that stuff to kind of like make sure you guys ain't playing no games. Basically, you gotta show the proof in the pudding with your relationship when it comes to de facto visas. So that's pretty much it. So even if you meet an Australian, you still have to go through that whole process of, you know, making sure that's not, you know, like it's not a sham. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the video. I hope that the information that I provided was helpful. Again, this was just a very brief, very kind of like broad explanation of the different visas available for people who are interested in working in Australia and possibly, you know, staying. Do your research, do the work. If you're interested in finding out more, I'm going to post a link to the Australian immigration website down below. Okay, I think I want to do a few more videos about visa talks because I got stories. Your girl's been deported before, so we'll definitely talk about that. And we'll talk about overstaying your visa. Don't do that. I did it, but that's a story for another time. So see you guys later.